celebrated son. I have so longed to meet you, Professor Higgins.
Delighted.
How do you do?
I've seen you somewhere before. I haven't the ghost of a notion where, but I've heard your voice. It doesn't matter. You better sit down.
I am sorry to say that my celebrated son has no manners, so you must not mind him.
I don't.
Not at all.
Oh, have I been rude? I didn't mean to be.
Colonel Pickering?
How do you do, Mrs. Higgins?
Oh, I am so glad you have come. Do you know Mrs. Eynsford Hill? Oh, and Miss Eynsford Hill.
Has Henry told you what we've come for?
We were interrupted, damn it.
No, Henry, really.
Are we in the way?
Oh, no, you could not have come more fortunately. We want you to meet a friend of ours.
Yes, by George. We want 2 or 3 people. You'll do as well as anyone.
Mr. Eynsford Hill.
God in heaven, another of them.
How do you do?
Oh, very good of you to come. Colonel Pickering.
How do you do?
And I do not think you know my son, Professor Higgins.
How do you do?
I'll take my oath I've met you somewhere before. Where was it?
Yeah, I don't think so.
It doesn't matter anyhow. Sit down. Well, here we are anyhow. And now what the devil are we going to talk about until Eliza comes?
Henry, you are the life and soul of the Royal Society soirees. But really, you are rather tiring on more commonplace occasions.
Am I? Very sorry. I suppose I am, you know.
I sympathize. I haven't any small talk. If people would only be frank and say what they really think.
Lord forbid.
But why?
Why, what they think they ought to think is bad enough, Lord knows. But what they really think would break up the whole show. Do you suppose it would be really agreeable if I were to come out now with what I really think?
Is it so very cynical?
Cynical? Who the dickens said it was cynical? I mean, it wouldn't be decent.
Oh, I'm sure you don't mean that, Mr. Higgins.
You see, we're all savages, more or less. We're supposed to be civilized and cultured and to know all about poetry and philosophy and art and science and so on. But how many of us really know even the meanings of these names? What do you know of poetry? What do you know of science? What does he know of art or science or anything else? And what the devil do you imagine I know of philosophy?
Or of manners, Henry.
Miss Doolittle.
Here she is, Mother.
How do you do, Mrs. Higgins? Mr. Higgins told me I might come.
Quite right. I am very glad indeed to see you.
How do you do, Miss Doolittle?
Colonel Pickering, is it not?
I feel sure we have met somewhere before, Miss Doolittle. I remember your eyes.
How do you do?
My daughter, Clara.
How do you do?
How do you do?
I've certainly had the pleasure.
And my son, Freddie.
How do you do?
By George, yes, it all comes back to me. Covent Garden. What a damn thing.
Oh, Henry, please. And do not sit on my writing table. You will break it.
Sorry.
Will it rain, do you think?
The shallow depression in the west of these islands is likely to move slowly in an easterly direction. There are no indications of any great change in the barometrical situation.
Awfully funny.
What is wrong with that, young man? I bet I got it right.
Killing.
Oh, I sure hope it won't turn cold. There's so much influenza about. It runs right through our entire family, regularly every spring.
My aunt died of influenza, so they said. But it is my belief they've done the old woman in.
Done her in?
Yes, Lord love you. Why should she die of influenza? She come through diphtheria right enough the year before. I saw her with my own eyes. Fairly blue with it she was. They all thought she was dead. But my father, he kept ladling gin down her throat till she came to so sudden that she bit the pole off the spoon.
Oh dear.
What call would a woman with that strength in her have to die of influenza? What become of her new straw hat that should have come to me? Somebody pinched it, and what I say is, them as pinched it done her in.
What does done her in mean?
Oh, that's the new small talk. To do a person in means to kill them.
Oh, you surely don't believe your aunt was killed.
Do I not? Them she lived with would have killed her for a hat pin, let alone a hat.
But it can't have been right for your father to pour gin down her throat like that. It might have killed her.
Not her. Gin was mother's milk to her. Besides, he poured so much down his own throat that he knew the good of it.
Do you mean that he drank?
Drank, my word, something chronic.
Oh, how dreadful for you.
Not a bit. It never did him no harm what I could see. But then he did not keep it up regular. On the burst, as you might say, from time to time. And always more agreeable when he had a drop in. When he was out of work, my mother used to give him 4 pence and tell him to go out and not to come back until he drunk himself cheerful and loving like. There's lots of women has to make their husbands drunk to make them fit to live with. You see, it's like this. If a man has a bit of conscience, it always takes him when he's sober, and then it makes him low-spirited. A drop of booze just takes that off and makes him happy. Oi, here, what are you sniggering at?
The new small talk. You do it so awfully well.
If I was doing it proper, what was you laughing at? Have I said anything I oughtn't?
At all, Miss Doolittle.
Well, that's a mercy anyhow. What I always say... Well, I must go. So pleased to have met you. Goodbye, Mrs. Higgins.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Colonel Pickering.
Goodbye, Miss Doolittle.
Goodbye, all.
Are you walking across the park, Miss Doolittle? If so...
Rock. Not bloody likely. I'm going in a taxi.
Oh, I really can't get used to the new ways.
Oh, it's all right, Mamma, quite right. People think we never go anywhere or see anybody if you're so old-fashioned.
I dare say I am very old-fashioned, but I do hope you won't begin using that expression, Clara. I've got accustomed to hearing you talking about men as rotters and how everything is beastly and horrible. And I do think it's horrible and unladylike. But this last is really too much. Don't you think so, Colonel Pickering?
Don't ask me. I've been away in India for several years, and manners have changed so much that sometimes I don't know whether I'm at a respectable dinner table or a ship's forecastle.
It's all a matter of habit. There's no right or wrong in it. Nobody means anything by it. And it's so quaint and gives such a smart emphasis to things that are not in themselves very witty. I find the new small talk delightful and quite innocent.
After that, I think it's time for us to go.
Oh, yes. We have 3 at-homes to go to still. Goodbye, Mrs. Higgins. Goodbye, Colonel Pickering. Goodbye, Professor Higgins.
Goodbye. Be sure to try out that small talk at the 3 at homes. Don't be nervous about it. Pitch it in.
I will. Goodbye. Such nonsense, all this early Victorian prudery.
Such damn nonsense.
Such bloody nonsense.
Oh, Clara!
Well, I ask you, goodbye.
Oh, goodbye. Would you like to meet Miss Doolittle again?
Yes, I should, most awfully.
Well, you know my days.
Yes. Thanks. Awfully. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mr. Higgins.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
It's no use. I shall never be able to bring myself to use that word.
Don't. It's not compulsory, you know. You'll get on quite well without it.
Only Clara is so down on me if I'm not positively reeking in the latest slang. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
You mustn't mind Clara. We're so poor, and she has so few parties. She just doesn't know. But the boy is nice. Don't you think so?
Oh, quite nice. I shall always be delighted to see him.
Thank you, dear. Goodbye.
Well, is Eliza presentable?